5 years ago, I paid for an amazing college girl with my wallet. I told her that as long as she stayed with me, I'd cover her tuition and her mother's medical bills. To pay for her mother's treatment, the innocent good girl put up with me for 4 years. Later, my family's business went bankrupt. I didn't want her to see me down and out, so I left without saying goodbye. When we met again, she was a top CEO in the business world, and I was just a newly hired security guard at her company. Seeing the young, talented guys swarming around her, I chuckled to myself, "Sorry, but I'm on duty. I have to do a body search." Her eyes turned red, and she came up and grabbed my hand. "Come on, let's go to a room. It's quiet there." I never imagined I'd meet Erin again like this. When I bowed, I deliberately lowered my head, hiding my face with the brim of my cap, afraid she'd see me. She was so close. The scent of her perfume filled my nostrils. I couldn't help but frown slightly. The Erin I knew loved being clean. So much so that she barely even used cosmetics, let alone a perfume this strong. She was like a pure white lotus, untouched by the mud. The girl in my memory, who loved wearing white dresses and had that stubborn look on her face, gradually merged with the mature, sexy woman in front of me. Henry was standing beside her. A handsome man and a beautiful woman, a perfect match. "Security, go park my car," Henry said, tossing the car keys into my arms. I caught them, a little flustered. As I brushed past them, I heard the successful people around them joking. "Erin is quite the flower of our business world. I wonder who will have the chance to win her over." Erin smiled faintly at the banter, but didn't respond. But suddenly, someone spoke up. I heard Erin had a boyfriend she was with for over 4 years. My steps faltered. Erin didn't deny it, nor did she say much, she just hummed in acknowledgement. The people around them started sighing. 4 years, was that her entire college time? How enviable! Erin must miss those days, right? Erin didn't answer. The atmosphere became awkwardly silent for a moment. I stopped, a strong bitterness spreading in my mouth. Just as I was about to leave, I heard Erin chuckle softly. "Heh, not really." Henry, whose expression had turned slightly unpleasant, quickly chimed in. "Right, Erin's big-hearted enough not to hold a grudge against him." The others became curious. Henry explained smoothly, "Erin and I went to the same school. I know a bit about what happened back then. Sigh, if it weren't for that ex-boyfriend, Erin and I would have been together long ago. She suffered so much all these years." I took a deep breath, adjusted my cap, and just wanted to get away as quickly as possible. But I didn't notice the steps and stumbled awkwardly in front of the car. Henry turned, his brow furrowed. "What kind of security guard is this? Can't even park a car." I quickly got up, ignoring the sharp pain, and bowed repeatedly, apologizing. "I'm so sorry, so sorry. I'll park it for you right away." I turned to leave. "Stop." Erin suddenly spoke, her voice cold. "Turn around and look." My breath caught in my throat, and I froze as if I'd been hit with a stun gun. 1 second, 2 seconds. Time seemed to stand still. The security captain chose that moment to step in. "I'm so sorry, Erin. This is a new employee, still getting the hang of things. We apologize for the inconvenience." He shot me a look. "Why don't you go park Mr. Henry's car?" I exhaled, relieved, and hurried away. Later, the security captain made a point of reminding me, "Everyone who comes here is either rich or influential, especially Henry. His status is practically equal to Erin's. We can't afford to offend either of them. If even one person complains, even if you leave this job, things won't go well for you." "Thank you," I said to the captain, genuinely grateful. After all, if there was one person in the world Erin hated most, it would be me. I was the insignificant ex she always talked about. I first saw Erin when we started college. She was wearing old, faded clothes, standing out from the crowd. Anyone's first impression of her would be poor. The second impression, beautiful. A beauty that was untouchable, almost sacred. I loved her aloof demeanor and her stubborn, unyielding spirit. I started to get closer to her. The method was simple. Erin was desperate for money. She couldn't even get the financial aid for impoverished students because those spots were reserved for students with connections to the counselor. So, after class one day, I took her soft, delicate hand. "Erin, I really like you. Be with me. I have money. I can take care of all your expenses." She refused me outright. But at the time, I was a spoiled rich kid who had always gotten everything he wanted. I didn't understand what it meant to be defeated. The more she refused, the more persistent I became. Until her mother fell seriously ill and needed a large sum of money for medical expenses. She finally gave in. "If you're willing to help my mother, I can agree to your terms," she said, biting her lip, her eyes red-rimmed. Without hesitation, I paid all her mother's medical expenses up front. I always thought I had done her a huge favor. It wasn't until many years later that I realized I had gotten her, but I had also completely broken her. After she got together with me, she still worked to pay for her tuition and living expenses. She never asked me for money, but somehow, the news of me paying her mother's medical bills spread around the school. She went from being the aloof campus beauty to a cheap girl who sold herself for money. The students looked at her with contempt, and some even harassed her openly. I didn't think much of it at the time. In fact, after I found out, I gave those gossiping people a good talking to, and then comforted her with a hug. "Don't worry, they're just jealous." Back then, I was living in the ivory tower of my family, completely unaware that rumors could kill. The year we graduated, my family's business went bankrupt. I didn't tell Erin. I just broke up with her during lunch one day. Erin was picking at her food, and her hand stilled when she heard me. "Why?" "No reason. I'm just tired of it." She paused for a moment, then nodded. "Okay." Our breakup was quiet, just like that, on an ordinary afternoon. She seemed almost relieved as she walked away. I think she was probably happy at the time, finally free. That day, I discarded all my old contacts and went to another city to work and pay off my family's debts. It wasn't until a month ago that I returned to this city. Erin seemed to be doing very well. She had always been a top student in college, with grades that were way ahead of everyone else. It's no surprise that just a few years after graduation, she had already become a rising star in the new media industry. And Henry, who was a year ahead of us, was also a well-known figure in school back then. I didn't expect them to end up together. It's good. But then why is there such a strong feeling of bitterness in my heart? It was 1 in the morning. My shift was over, and I was ready to hand things off and clock out. The building was almost completely deserted, pitch black, and even the elevators were off. I jabbed at the elevator button, already annoyed, when a cool voice spoke behind me, "Maybe try calling." My body froze. It was Erin. After an awkward pause, I pulled out my phone and called a coworker. I didn't dare turn around the whole time. When the elevator finally started up again, I was forced to stand with her in the cramped space. "Do you guys have to patrol this late at night?" Erin asked suddenly, her voice completely flat. "Yeah, we have to make sure all the doors and windows are locked." Getting used to the environment? It's all right. I kept my head down, my hat brim practically covering my eyes, and I deliberately kept my voice low. Erin didn't seem to recognize me. After a few more casual questions, she pulled out her phone, checking it and muttering, "This elevator is so slow. My boyfriend's probably getting worried. He's always so concerned about my safety, really clingy." I was taken aback. I knew she was talking about Henry. I didn't respond, but she kept going. "What about you? This job must not leave you much time for a girlfriend, right?" "It's all right," I said again, agonizingly watching the elevator slowly descend. Finally, we reached the first floor. The instant the doors opened, I practically bolted out, but my arm was suddenly seized. Erin, who had been calm the entire ride, finally exploded. "What are you running from? How long are you going to keep hiding? Just taking off like that, was it fun?" She moved closer. For a fleeting moment, I saw her as she was years ago, but the youthful innocence was gone, replaced by a cold maturity. Phone disconnected, WeChat deleted, even your old classmates and teachers have no idea where you went. "Ethan, you're really something." I met her gaze with a wry smile. "My family went bankrupt, You probably know that, right? We still haven't paid off all the debt. Why didn't you say anything back then? I stayed silent. She gritted her teeth. It was all about your pride, wasn't it, Ethan? Just then, a surprised voice called out from nearby. Ethan? Long time no see. It was Henry. He was impeccably dressed, down to every last hair. It's been 4 years, hasn't it? Why haven't we heard from you all this time? I went to another city. No wonder. Henry looked me up and down, taking in my uniform, a hint of mockery in his eyes. Ethan, why are you suddenly wearing a security guard's uniform? Is this some kind of new cosplay? I knew he was deliberately trying to humiliate me, but I didn't care anymore. I work here. Henry feigned surprise. You? Did something happen? Are you short on cash? You could have told us. We're all old friends here. If you need money, just say the word. He pulled a card out of his pocket. Here, take this. Use it as you need. Erin opened her mouth, as if to say something, but ultimately remained silent. Thanks, but I don't need it, I said, giving them both a small smile. I'm getting married soon. Just make sure you come to the wedding. As I said that, I noticed Erin's expression shift to one of astonishment. I ignored her. Right in front of them, I took off my security guard uniform and put on the delivery driver vest. What are you? Erin stared at me, dumbfounded. Delivering food, I said with a shrug. The complicated look in Erin's eyes intensified. She knew very well that when I was with her, I wouldn't have been caught dead doing deliveries. During our 4 years in college, she always delivered food when she didn't have class. Her dinners were often the boxed meals provided by the delivery company. Once, I went to find her and saw her sitting on the curb on her electric scooter, eating a boxed meal like the other delivery drivers. I went up to her and said bluntly, "Why are you eating this? Don't you know how unsanitary takeout is?" A flicker of discomfort crossed her face. Clean or not, it doesn't matter. It fills me up. Come on, let's go get some seafood. Right in front of her colleagues, I pulled her to a newly opened restaurant, where the average bill was over $1,000 per person. She stood at the entrance of the restaurant, silent for a long time, before finally taking off her delivery uniform. I never understood the complicated look in her eyes that day. Not until my family fell on hard times. I think her feelings then were probably the same as mine now. Misfortune never comes singly. A car ran a red light and hit me. Although I wasn't seriously injured, my food was spilled everywhere. You damn delivery guy, don't you have eyes? The driver spat at me viciously. I ignored him and quickly called the customer to explain, but I was met with another barrage of abuse. Late is late, don't make excuses. You got into an accident? Then why didn't you get killed? I apologized profusely, but the person on the other end hung up. I struggled to my feet. As I turned, I saw Erin standing by the roadside. I didn't know when she had arrived or how long she had been watching. Instinctively, I pushed my scooter, wanting to leave, but she strode over and grabbed my wrist. Seeing my bleeding right hand, she asked tremulously, "You're hurt?" "It's nothing," I said, gently pulling my hand away. "I have to deliver this order. If there's nothing else, I'll be going." Erin frowned and grabbed me again. "Come on, I'll take you." When the food was finally delivered, I overheard a passerby mutter, "Is it this competitive these days? Delivering food in a Bentley." Erin stood by the car, saying nothing. I thanked her quietly and was about to take the next order when she stopped me. "No more deliveries tonight." "I can't, I've only done 1 delivery tonight." "Then I'll cover the rest." She took out her phone, did something, and my phone beeped. She had assigned me an order to deliver to her and tipped $1,000. "I'm buying your time tonight." Before I could refuse, she added, "If you reject the order, I'll report you." She knew my weakness. I said nothing more and got into her car. She drove me to her place. At the door, I hesitated but still didn't go in. "Henry won't like it." She frowned deeply and, without another word, pulled me inside. "You're hurt this badly, and you're still worried about someone else?" Once inside, I realized her place showed all the signs of someone living alone. Seeing my questioning look, she explained, "I'm not with him." I, of course, knew who he was. Aaron continued, "3 months ago, he approached me and said he wanted to work with me. He didn't want to be pressured by his family into an arranged marriage, so he asked me to pretend to be his girlfriend. In return, he would help me deal with difficult customers." She paused, rubbing her temples wearily. "I'm a woman, after all, and a relatively young one. Some clients would make advances. I was so tired of it, and Henry helped me fend them off." As she spoke, she pulled out a contract from her bag. It clearly stated that they would only cooperate externally and not interfere in each other's personal lives. I felt much more at ease. She took out a first aid kit and, while treating my wound, I noticed her place was filled with all sorts of luxury goods. They were all gifts I had given her. "You don't have a girlfriend, do you?" she asked suddenly. "I asked HR at the company. When you were hired, you told them you were single. Ethan, you lied to me on purpose, didn't you?" "I didn't lie to you." "Then show me a picture of your girlfriend." "I don't have one." "I'll take one for you next time." Erin laughed, a coldness in her smile. "Ethan, you're trying so hard to avoid me, aren't you?" She suddenly leaned closer, her breath warm on my skin. "4 years ago, you were so obsessed with my body. Can you still suppress it now?" I raised my hand, intending to push her away, but she stared intently at the bracelet on my wrist, the smile in her eyes growing wider. "Weren't you about to get married?" "Getting married, but still wearing a bracelet from your ex-girlfriend? That doesn't seem right, does it?" "I have a bracelet. It's lost its shine, worn down by the years. I never take it off, except to sleep. Because Erin gave it to me. The week before my 21st birthday, she'd rush off every day after class. I asked her about it, but she just said she was busy with a part-time job. She was working extra hard then. On my birthday, I threw a party with my friends. I told Erin, but she didn't show. It wasn't until later that night that I finally got a call from her. She said she was waiting for me outside the restaurant. She was standing in the pouring rain, holding an umbrella, but soaked to the bone. Even looking so miserable, she had a smile on her face. And instead of worrying about her, I was annoyed that she hadn't come to my party. I felt like she'd made me lose face. But she just smiled and pulled a box out of her jacket, saying she had a birthday present for me. The bracelet wasn't expensive, not to me, but it was way beyond what she could afford. It was the first present I ever received, so I was happy. I put it on my wrist and never took it off. Just then, my friends came out to get me. One of them frowned when he saw her. "Did you order takeout?" I was about to explain, but Erin had already turned and walked away into the rain. Over the years, I'd think back to that moment and wonder, did Erin have feelings for me back then? That bracelet was bought with endless days and nights of working. Was she, like me, also riding around on the scooter through all types of weather, facing demanding clients, and had to force a smile? All of this was just for buying the bracelet for me. But now, she's so cold, and her place is filled with luxury goods. Was she trying to humiliate me? I couldn't figure it out and just lowered my head in silence. Erin glared at me, then finally sighed. "It's your birthday today. I bought you a new bracelet." I was stunned. It hit me then. It was my birthday. Erin took out a gift box. "See if you like it." She held out the bracelet, her eyes filled with memories. "Ethan, let's start over." Before she could finish, my phone rang. I answered it instinctively. "Honey, where are you? Why aren't you home yet?" The bracelet fell to the floor. Erin stared at me, stunned. I looked at her, my expression complicated. "I'll be there soon. Just wait for me." I stood up, thanked Erin, and turned to leave. She sat there on the sofa, not trying to stop me. When I got home, I saw Sarah standing at the door and couldn't help but sigh. We went way back. My parents had originally wanted me to marry her, but I was so hung up on Erin back then that I barely gave her the time of day. Until 2 weeks ago, when she found out I was back and came looking for me. "If you agree to marry me, I'll help you pay off your family's debts." I was surprised. "Why?" She snorted. Just to prove to you what a mistake it was to throw me over for that woman with no background and no skills." "Oh, so she was determined to marry me just to humiliate me? How ridiculous!" I refused outright, but she was persistent, playing out this role-playing game on her own. That phone call just now was the first time I'd actively played along. I just didn't expect her to show up at my door. "Miss Sarah, is there something you need?" She smiled nonchalantly. "I'm here to see my fiancé. Is there a problem?" "I never agreed to that. Do you have a choice, Ethan? Do you still think you're the Ethan you used to be? You're drowning in debt. No one would look twice at you now. Who else would be so kind, except me?" She looked at me with disdain. "What? Are you still hung up on that Erin? She's not some kept woman anymore. If you keep chasing her, you're just going to embarrass yourself." "That's none of your business." "Of course it is," she said, her voice full of spite. "Why should that low-class woman get to steal a man from me? I'm going to crush her spirit." I stared at her coldly, my voice low. "I'm not an object, Sarah. You're wasting your time." She didn't try to stop me, just smirked. "Ethan, you're not alone anymore. Even if you don't want to, you have to think about your parents." Her flippant attitude reminded me of the past. Those people who spread rumors and ostracized Erin, weren't they just like her? I wondered if, in Erin's eyes, I was the same kind of person. Word spread among my classmates that I was back, along with news of my family's downfall. While a lot of people were probably just curious or gleeful about my misfortune, I did have some genuine friends from my 4 years in college. Taylor, my old dorm leader, called me and said he was getting married, and he hoped I could be there. I didn't refuse. It was a good opportunity to catch up with my old roommates. A lot of our old classmates showed up at the wedding, and I made sure to get everyone's contact info. Taylor came over and punched me hard on the shoulder. The big guy actually got teary-eyed. "Ethan, you jerk, you promised you'd take me out for good food and drinks after I graduated," he said. "Now look at you, mooching meals off me. You bastard, how could you just disappear for so many years without a word? Were you trying to kill us with worry?" I laughed and reassured him, "Hey, what's with all this on your wedding day? Don't worry, I'll be sticking with you from now on." The other roommates joined us, and in the middle of our conversation, Taylor suddenly asked, "By the way, Ethan, why did you just take off without a word back then? If you were in trouble, you could have told us. We might not have been able to do much, but we could have helped." I looked down, and after a long silence, I sighed and finally spoke from the heart. "You know, Taylor, my life was pretty smooth sailing up until that point. I'd never really faced any hardship. When it happened, I felt like my whole world had collapsed. I didn't know what to do. Even pity would have been unbearable." Taylor sighed. "Do you know how crazy Erin went looking for you?" I was stunned. "Looking for me? You didn't know?" "She practically tracked down everyone we knew, even went to your house, only to find it had been repossessed by the bank. That was the first time I'd ever seen her look so devastated and lost. She sat outside your house, head down, crying her eyes out. Later, she heard you'd gone south and went looking for you there, but she came back empty-handed. You were pretty good at hiding, weren't you?" I gave a wry smile. We'd moved so many times over the years to avoid debt collectors, practically every month. I just didn't understand. Erin shouldn't have cared about where I went. Before we broke up, I'd overheard her talking to a friend. "What are your plans? Are you going to marry Ethan right after graduation?" Erin had shaken her head coldly. "No way." That incident had really shaken me. And it wasn't long after that my family's troubles started. I broke up with her, and she didn't try to stop me. So, why was she looking everywhere for me? Did she only realize she regretted it after I was gone? I was completely confused. Halfway through the wedding, during the bouquet toss, I was lost in thought and the bouquet actually landed right in my arms. The MC chuckled. "Congratulations, sir. Looks like you'll be getting married soon. Will you be giving this to your girlfriend?" Before I could even open my mouth, Erin stepped out from the crowd and came straight up to me. "Can I have that bouquet?" The room went silent for a split second, then erupted in a roar that nearly blew the roof off. Those who knew us and our past relationship were especially rowdy. I stood there, feeling incredibly awkward. Aaron, you know I have a fiancé, right? Even though it was a lie. Sarah. Aaron raised an eyebrow. I don't think you're that blind. Just assume I am. Aaron took a deep breath. Fine, assume you have terrible taste. She moved closer, her breath warm on my ear. Then can you dump her and come back to me? Her voice was laced with a seductive quality that was hard to resist. I almost gave in right then and there. Even after all these years, she was still exactly my type. Unfortunately, it was just a little bit off. I drank a lot that night. By the end, I couldn't even remember how I got back. I just know I woke up the next morning in a hotel room, completely naked. Erin was next to me. You're awake. I sat up, realizing she was naked too. Did we? Yes, she cut me off. It was my choice. You don't have to feel responsible. I shook my head, feeling conflicted. Why would you do that? Didn't I tell you I have a fiancé? Don't lie to yourself. She interrupted me again. What's so great about Sarah? She can help me pay off my debts. I can too. Erin got up and grabbed my hand. Ethan, I'm better than her. I know what you like. I'm just begging you, please don't disappear again, okay? I didn't know how to refuse. For the next few days, it was like we were back to how we used to be. She invited me to join her company, and after I turned her down, she started asking me for advice on new media strategies. Her eyes were full of focus and sincerity, just like when she used to tutor me back in the day. That night, I declined her offer to stay over. I was spacing out on the bus when I got a message from Henry. Ethan, if you're a man, stop hurting Erin. Why don't you just disappear forever? I asked, confused. What do you mean? All these years, she's felt like she owes you, like she needs to repay you. Your money makes her uncomfortable, don't you know that? He then sent me a screenshot of a conversation between Erin and a friend. Finally paid it all off. Congratulations! Finally got rid of that huge burden. At least my soul is free now. I frowned, not understanding what it meant, but then I got a text from the bank. Your loan has been paid off. Paid by Erin. My mind went blank, like a thunderclap had gone off in my head. The hand holding my phone started to tremble. I thought back to everything I'd heard, the things she'd said and done, including that morning when she said it was her choice. It turned out everything, was just to pay off a debt. That was it. I remembered when we first met, Henry also said that she had been really generous and that she didn't hate me. Erin never liked owing anyone anything. From the beginning, in her eyes, I was just a creditor. The money I gave her was like a mountain weighing her down. In that moment, I was swallowed by an endless bitterness. I didn't even know how to blame her. Years ago, I was the one who pulled her into an unequal position with me. I was the one who started this chain of events. She's a righteous person. She didn't take my help for granted. She's been mindful of it to this day. I couldn't suppress the anger rising inside me. I grabbed my phone and texted Erin. Who told you to pay off my debt? I just thought it would make things easier for you. Besides, I've always wanted to pay you back for my mother's medical bills. Her words felt like a knife, twisting in my gut. I'll find a way to pay you back. From now on, please don't contact me unless it's absolutely necessary. She called, but I hung up and blocked her number again. After that, I took 3 days off and locked myself in my room, sleeping like the dead. It was like I was trying to release all the exhaustion from all these years. When I finally opened the door 3 days later, I found her standing outside my house. I ignored her and took the bus to work. She ditched her Bentley and squeezed onto the bus with me. That night, when I went out to deliver food, she followed me on her scooter, not saying a word. She was like a walking, talking NPC, the kind that doesn't give out quests. This went on for a few days, and I couldn't take it anymore. Don't you have anything better to do? Stop following me. She shook her head calmly. If I don't follow you, you'll disappear. She counted on her fingers. I've been to so many cities, so many. Some I could find traces of you, Some I couldn't. You make me worry. I was speechless. I promised to pay you back, and I will. Erin frowned. When did I ever say I wanted you to pay me back? She continued to be my shadow. Until one weekend, she didn't show up, and instead, I got a call from Henry. He sounded worried. Are you trying to drive her crazy? Erin and Sarah had a falling out. It started when they both attended a banquet. They weren't at the same table, and Sarah probably didn't notice she was there. While Sarah was chatting, someone brought up my family's past. Sarah, I heard you used to chase after that eldest young master from Erin's family? Sarah looked disdainful. Back then, I thought he was good-looking and came from a good family, so I tried to get to know him. But he acted all high and mighty. And now, his family's debts aren't paid off. If I agreed to help him pay them back, he'd have to be my dog. No matter how prominent he used to be, if I told him to kneel down and lick my shoes now, he'd have to do it. Before she could finish, a glass of wine splashed across her face, followed by a barrage of slaps. She'd attacked Sarah right in front of everyone in the industry. Outside the hospital, Henry grabbed my collar, furious. Erin has no backing. Everything she's achieved, she's done on her own. Don't you know how hard it's been for her? He got angrier as he spoke, raising his hand to hit me. If you're not going to help her, at least stop ruining things for her. Ruining things? I grabbed his hand, looking at him coldly. Henry, what right do you have to blame me? Because I'm her boyfriend. Before he could finish, I scoffed. Weren't you just partners? Didn't you agree not to interfere in each other's personal lives? Henry froze, his hand dropping limply, looking utterly devastated. She told you that? He gritted his teeth and spoke again. Ethan, we might just be partners, but now, I genuinely love her. You've been gone for so long, why don't you just stay gone? Can't you just disappear? You love her? Yes. I raised an eyebrow, looking at him with surprise. If you love her, why did you lead the way in spreading those rumors about her back in school? Henry's face turned pale, and he pointed a finger at my nose. You. I slapped his hand away. I've been gone for a few years, but I haven't lost my memory. I looked at him coldly. Back then, when Erin and I were together, you were the one who cornered me with your buddies outside the school gates. Do you remember what you said then? You asked me, Ethan, how much did you pay to get that Ice Queen to crawl into your bed? You're lying. Henry panicked. I never said anything like that. No. I sneered. Then what about later, when someone said to Erin's face that she was a prostitute? Did you forget about that too? Didn't that nickname start with you? He still tried to argue, but I interrupted with a smile. I may not understand the rules of your circle, but if it got out that the devoted male lead in your drama used to bully his classmates, what would the fans think? Ethan. Henry raised his voice. Now you're the one spreading rumors. Oh. Do you need me to find some classmates to prove it? He deflated instantly, his voice filled with pleading. Ethan, I'm begging you, don't bring this up again. I'll give you any amount of money you want. I was just young and foolish back then, that's why I hurt her. But I truly love her now. I'll do anything to make up for it. Please, don't tell Erin. But before he could finish, the door to the nearby hospital room opened. Erin stood in the doorway, looking like she'd been standing there for a long time. Erin. Henry started to say something, but Erin coldly spat out one word. Get out. Erin was never one to let things go. She despised the rumors from back then and the people who spread them. Naturally, she wouldn't have any kind of pleasantries for Henry, the main culprit. She rarely ever cursed, but that single word, out, sent Henry packing, completely devastated. He probably wouldn't dare show his face around her again. Our eyes met, and I sighed, looking at the cut on her face. Are you okay? Will this affect your company? It's a minor issue, but Sarah might not be so lucky. Serves her right, I shrugged. She thinks I'm going to be her lapdog? Dream on. Erin looked at me and suddenly smiled. That's the real you. Huh. That's the real you, the reckless and arrogant Ethan from back then. I scratched my head awkwardly. She softly reassured me, "Let it all out. I want to hear it. Screw business. They're all a bunch of liars, they all deserve to die." "What else?" "Damn landlord, raising the rent on that old run-down place. I swear, I want to rip his beard out." "Keep going." "Ugh, pork prices went up again. I haven't had meat in days." "Then what did you eat the other days? Did it go into a dog's belly?" "What the—" We bickered the whole way. It felt like we were back in school. I vented all the pent-up emotions from the past few years. Finally, I completely broke down, my voice hoarse and choked with sobs. "Please, give me some more time, okay? I promise I'll pay you back." Erin suddenly looked nervous. I admit I was wrong to pay off your debt without asking, but you don't have to hold a grudge about it, do you?" I shook my head, giving a wry smile. "Forget it. I don't want to be your burden." "What burden?" Erin frowned. "Who told you that?" I showed her the chat logs Henry had sent me. Erin glanced at them, and her expression turned angry. "What a load of crap. I wasn't talking about you." She pulled out her phone and found the chat logs. It turned out she had been talking about the final payments for a batch of projects. Somehow, Henry had gotten his hands on them. With the misunderstanding cleared up, Erin looked at me seriously. "Let's take this opportunity today to clear the air." She took me to her place. It was the second time I was here, but with a completely different feeling. She poured me a cup of tea and then spoke. "I actually have a lot of questions I want to ask." "Go ahead. Why did we break up?" I was taken aback, then smiled bitterly. "I didn't want to be a burden to you. After thinking it over, I felt that breaking up was the best option." "It wasn't because you got bored?" she asked, a hint of a smile on her face. I then remembered the reason I gave for breaking up. It was those 2 words that made her leave without any hesitation. "I always thought you were just playing around with me, and that's why you were throwing me away." I opened my mouth, unsure how to explain. "But now I've thought it through," she stared straight at me. "Even if you only see me as a plaything, I want to stay by your side." Erin's face was just as stubborn as it had always been. I chuckled wryly. "You misunderstood. That was just said in anger. I never thought of you as a toy. I really did like you." She froze. "Why were you angry?" "Because you told your friends you would never marry me." She frowned, thinking back, then burst out laughing, a little embarrassed. "At the time, I felt like I had nothing, that I wasn't good enough for you, so that's why I said it." We started going over everything that had happened between us, detail by detail. Only then did we realize how many misunderstandings there had been. Why had it happened like this? After summing it up, we both agreed it was because of the huge gap in our circumstances at the time. Erin always felt that I was helping her because I wanted her body, a fleeting pleasure. And I always thought that she felt obligated to be with me out of gratitude. Neither of us believed the other truly loved us. Erin asked again, "Ethan, why would you rather accept Sarah's help than mine?" "Because I liked you, and I didn't want to." I suddenly stopped. Erin nodded. "Now, do you understand how I felt back then? Ethan, I liked you, even before you liked me." She told me that when we first started school, she had a soft spot for this clumsy, blundering fool. It was just a shame that I confessed first, and in such an awkward way. I used her hardship to lure her. She felt humiliated. She actually had told me she liked me. But nobody believed it. Everyone thought she was after my money. After a while, even I believed it, and even she almost did. Did she really like me, or was it just to repay a debt? Back then, anyone could have helped her, except me. Because money would have tainted the affection. If Erin hadn't been so stubborn, she could have easily settled into a comfortable life as a kept woman. But she didn't. And that's exactly why she was the girl I loved the most. Then that day in the elevator. That was said in anger. "You're allowed to say things, but I'm not," she huffed. "You got tired of me, dumped me, and then disappeared, like you were deliberately avoiding me. Why wouldn't I be angry?" I was speechless. "It's okay, be angry," she said, taking a sip of her tea and letting out a long sigh. "I'm sorry, I really thought you didn't want me anymore." I looked at her delicate profile and finally smiled. At that moment, I was truly certain that the person I loved also loved me. The school was having an anniversary celebration and invited Erin to give a speech as an alumni representative. I went with her. The school hadn't changed much, but the familiar faces were gone. No one stays young forever. But there are always young people coming up. I didn't expect anyone to recognize me. It was a senior girl. "Are you Ethan?" I was a little confused. "Do you know me?" The girl explained that she was an intern at Erin's company. Everyone at the company knows that there's a line under Erin's account that the operations team is never allowed to change. Through blurred vision, I saw Erin walking towards me. "If you see Ethan, please tell him for me, I love him." Snow began to fall. I stepped forward and took her hand. "Erin, I love you too." She froze for a moment, then smiled. Though youth is often filled with regrets, we had none.